start your business to go to another level. You must try to learn and hear something new. So make the change today. So don't procrastinate and see your business grow and change. So check out Drastic. So yeah, with Toni Harris Taylor. Toni Harris Taylor. Drastic. So oh yeah, with Toni Harris Taylor. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, it's Toni Harris Taylor with another amazing author for the Lead Loud Entrepreneurs Building Legacy Through Drastic Leadership. My CFO, Mr. Joseph Shawver. Welcome, Joseph.
How we doing, Tony?
Awesome, awesome. So, in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Joe Shawver. I have a bookkeeping fractional CFO, which is a bunch of fancy words to basically say I coach business owners on making good financial decisions, educating them on understanding their numbers, and helping get them to their version of success.
Yes, and you've done a great job with me. And, the numbers are the things people love to hate in business. They hate the marketing, which I do, and they hate the numbers, which you do. So, what inspired you to become an entrepreneur? And how has this journey shaped you into the leader you are today?
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship is something that's always been in my mind from a very early age. I was mowing lawns at 12 to make money. Like it's not something that's suddenly happened upon it, but it was really my wife that kind of got me over the fear of failure. So oftentimes an entrepreneur won't start because they don't want to let people down around them. And she said, at this point, I'll work, you build up the business and work on it. And here we are 8.5, 9 years later.
Wow, to have a supportive spouse is very important in entrepreneurship, and to have one that not only is supportive but pushing you to your own greatness, that's amazing. So I love her for that as well. Now you're a dad. How many babies you got?
I got four.
Four, four girls.
That is correct.
That's four weddings. Oh my gosh. Lord, Lord, Lord. So you are busy uh, being a father, being a husband, and being an entrepreneur. So, as a leader, how do you define leadership? And in your own words, what's it mean to lead loud?
Yeah, leading to me is clearly setting the standard and expectations and then holding yourself to that and encouraging and lifting those up around you, your teams, to get to those standards and expectations, not holding them as a judgment against them, but encouraging them to strive for that.
Yeah.
And for me, leading loud is doing the opposite of what culture tells you, and that's being accountable to your team. You're not above it, you're not setting the standard, but standing right there with them. I always tell my staff, I'm not going to ever ask you to do something that I either would not do myself or have not done myself.
Correct. Now, let's go back to you also lead loud with your clients because, again, they don't love the numbers and they sometimes don't love the advice you give. And so, how do you lead your clients?
I think that starts with a relationship and understanding each and every one of my clients is a different person. I can't tell you how to do something in the same way that I would tell a different client of mine. You're a different personality. So leading loud there starts with a relationship. Again, back to that accountability. I'm not in any relationship for me. I'm in it to help you become better, for you to get to that level of success. And if a client doesn't believe that of me, they're not going to listen. So that's where, again, that relationship and accountability. If I'm giving you advice, it's because I've thought through it. And based on what I know about you, I think that's the best step for you.
Okay. So, tell us about a moment when you had to take a drastic step to grow as a leader, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, actually, it was earlier this year. Finally came to the point where I realized I couldn't do it all myself. My wife told me 6, 8 months too late. I realized that, but you know how we all are. We stubbornly are hang on to things when we should have let them go a while ago. And
Hmm.
so in that, bringing on staff is a hugely drastic step. But as you well know, Tony, I don't do anything halfway. I not only brought on staff, I offshored my staff. And the big thing that I had to let go of in that was that I was the only one that could do it right. And
Mm.
trusting teams around you to say, this is the standard, here's what I expect. And the beauty of that is the staff that I was blessed to find and hire has not only met and excelled, but I will say to my clients today, you thought I was good, they are as good or better than I am.
That's good, but it takes a certain level of leadership to have offshore staff where you have strictly a virtual relationship with them. And trust me, I know to trust them not only with your business, but with your client's business. And that will absolutely grow you to the next level. And so, congratulations on doing that. Um, it is a big, drastic step, but I know it's going to free you up to do the things that you really, because you don't really want to be behind the books. You want to be consulting with the clients and being that CFO. So let's talk about what it means. What's it mean to be a CFO for a small business owner?
Yeah, it means retraining them to understand what a CFO does. And that is CFO is often thrown around with big companies, Fortune 500s and what
Sure.
have you.
Correct.
The common misconception is you're small, you don't need it. But the services and what a CFO truly does, which is interpret your numbers and understand the goal that you're trying to get to as a business and be able to help you, the business owner, bridge the gap between, successfully making money, but not understanding how you're underutilizing it or where it's going or not getting to where you want to go. Most entrepreneurs don't start their careers with an idea of, I just want to make a lot of money. They start it with, I want it to free me up. I want to have this. I want to have a house in, the Bahamas, whatever
Mhm.
the goal is. The idea is if you're self-employed, you're wealthy. It's kind of like societal perception of that. And that means that they are sitting there going, I don't understand why I'm not reaching this cultural expectation. Therefore, I must be a
Mm,
failure.
mm.
CFO can come in or business advisor can come in and say, no, it's not a failure. Nobody's ever trained you to understand the extra components beyond just, I worked and I made money. Well, business, as you well know, Tony, is so much more than I put time in and I got money out of it. It's a
Correct.
whole myriad of things that go into that. And
Correct.
I try to help open up and the understanding for that to say, here's where your money came in, here's where you spent it, and here's how we can improve upon that. Let's pick one, two, three areas and look at them.
And what I love about working with you is you help me future cast what business is going to look like based on what I'm doing today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now freely running things by you. Should I do this? Should I do that? And having that sounding board has been very, very good. And I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. That's a huge part of what business owners need, in my opinion, is that sounding board.
Absolutely. So, what legacy are you intentionally building with your brand?
Well, one of the things that I see most business owners failing to do is build that legacy. So we're building Square Books up to be a self-automated running business that frees up for my kids to take over in the future or to continue running without me having to day in and day out do it, but always giving the standards of excellence to the bookkeeping community and the CFO community, which sadly is a shrinking community at this time. So to give people the opportunity to say, hey, this is the standard to go look at.
Why do you think it's shrinking?
Um, from my experience, the average age of the bookkeepers that I interact with are 50, 55 on average with who I interact with. So they're going to be starting to retire in the next 10 to 15 years.
Sure,
And I don't see
sure.
a ton of younger bookkeepers starting up. And I know from personal experience how long it takes to build up a good business. So you've got a gap of 10, 15, maybe even 20 years where there's going to be
Now,
a
you know
huge,
what just entered my spirit, right? You know what just entered my spirit, and that is you need to go and find this millennial Gen X Gen Z bookkeepers and train them and coach them to starting their
Hmm.
own business. Um, because it's not going to go away.
No,
And here's the deal, that generation, your generation, are becoming entrepreneurs faster than we did. And so they more than ever need to have that bookkeeper um, conversation. So, yeah,
absolutely.
which reminds me, there's somebody I got to introduce you to. All right, very good. That's exciting. There's huge opportunity for you because I agree with you. Most of the bookkeepers I've seen are more advanced age. And so there's a great opportunity for you to show up as a leader for future CFOs and bookkeepers. All right. So, how has your leadership impacted your family, your community, and your industry?
Yeah, I'm not sure on the industry impact yet. That's probably proof will be in the pudding in a few years, but definitely in the family. And when I started this journey, we had two kids. We have four now. But just to be able to be at home, that's a huge part of being a bookkeeper remotely. Is you're home with your kids. Um, I don't know how many kids of my age and definitely not older could say dad was around every day. I saw him, he interacted, he was allowed me to be a part of what he was doing.
Hmm.
So that's for me, that's a huge component of that leadership. It's leading by that example and showing them, hey, dad's here, he's working diligently to try to help you out. And anecdotally, my daughters are even to this day, they will come up and say, Daddy, can I help? And they come in and they do, put numbers in and just type stuff in when needed.
Hmm.
So that's where I see it in the home, being able to lead in the community, you know, just having the stability to be around and not be overworked. I see so many business owners, they want to be involved, but back to that value proposition of I have clients relying on me, I have staff relying on me, I have a family relying on me. Community falls by the wayside because I don't have the bandwidth and time to do that.
Yeah, yeah. So, I know you are a great contributor to the Network in Action and Drastic Results community. Thank you for that. But having that local community impact is also critical. So, what core values drive your decisions as a business owner and leader?
Yeah, I think for me, there's three cores. As I was thinking about this, looking over the questions, faith is a huge core for me, and just
Sure.
having a confidence that I'm where I'm supposed to be, which eases up a bunch of the stress of making decisions, but a continual commitment to growth. I see so many people that they've gotten to their mountaintop, if they want to call it, and they just stop. They don't, for whatever reason, they just stop moving forward. And I'm a firm believer in the adage, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore you can't, you talk about if you're in marketing, how much has marketing changed stratagem wise in the last 2, 3, 5 years? Same
Sure.
thing in bookkeeping, same thing, tax law and all these other things. It's always changing. So you can't dig your heels in and say, well, I'm not changing what I'm doing. You have to continually be evolving and growing. And therefore, trying to get my staff on the leading edge of, hey, this is changing. Let's inform our clients that this is changing. And now they're going to say, oh, he told me this was coming. Look, there it
Sure.
is. And helping them make those adjustments quicker. Because there's nothing worse than logging into your favorite, software and they've changed it. And you log in and go, what the heck just
What the
happened?
heck just happened? Exactly. Exactly.
So,
So I
and
heard you say faith and growth are your core values.
I got one more, but
Oh, good. Let's go.
yep, hard work is the last
Uh,
one. And not
yeah.
being afraid to put in the work. As you well know, I'm not opposed to long hours and putting in the investing the time. And I see that as a value that is not esteemed very highly
Yeah.
anymore. So
So I think another value you have is, and I think that falls under growth, but I've watched you invest in yourself, invest in your business, and we're moving into the franchise space. Um, and I'm excited about that because definitely franchising needs what you have and at the younger age, which is also very important. Um, okay, so was there ever a time you wanted to give up? And if so, how did you fight through that?
I don't think there's an entrepreneur alive that didn't have that thought process at some point or
Correct.
multiple points in their lives. So, I mean, I think for me, the biggest time that I was ready just to quit was when I was still trying to get the business up and rolling, and I was working a 9 to 5 at the same time. So we're talking
Mm.
tax compliance work, 60 to 80 hours a week, and keeping the business going on the side. And just burnout is a real thing. And looking at that and going, is it worth it? At that time, what kept me going was looking at the tax compliance work and saying, I do not want to do this the rest of my life.
Mm.
This is not it. This cannot be it. I will be in my mid 30s, early 40s, and be in a grave at the rate I'm going right now. So this cannot keep working. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So you shifted when you saw that there was, so you looked for where you could shift. And that's very smart because some people just give up instead of shifting, they just give up. And you're right. In entrepreneurship, it's a constant. I've had a couple of my authors say they never think about giving up, and I don't believe them.
Yeah.
Because it's
I,
so much easier to have a job, 8 hours, get paid on somebody's job, but you give up a lot in that as
mhm.
well. So I believe um, you can lessen that by having strategies and community and people and networks. But I don't think there's an entrepreneur out there didn't think, let me just go get a job, right?
Yeah.
So how do you show up for your team, your clients, and your network, even when things are tough?
Well, it's a lot easier behind a screen because you can always put on a good face from here up. But
Sure. Sure.
no, I mean it's again back to the top of how do you lead, and always making yourself available to your clients and your staff, and just saying, look, I can't do it right now, but let me either do it myself or I'll pivot and get somebody that can and get on that for you. That's been one of my company's calling cards is we get back to you and we respond, we help out as far as showing up to events. And you know this as well as anybody, Tony. If I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm there,
Yes.
rain or shine. So that being there, and it's an easy commitment. And I think when we first met, it was I want to say 6 months after I first heard of NIA, and the individual that
Yes.
introduced us at that time
Yes.
said, I told him I'm not ready. I can't commit to that yet, and when I can, I will.
And you did, and unbeknownst to him. I
Mm-hmm.
remember that. I'm like, where'd this dude come from? And he's like, oh, we talked 6 months ago, and he stepped up. So I hope you're glad you did because we've enjoyed having you as part of our community. So on that note, how has being a part of Drastic Results and Network and Action community helped you lead and build faster?
I think it's given me an exposure to people that I would not have normally come in contact with. And understanding one of the driving forces behind joining Network in Action was realizing how poor my network actually was. It's a very strong local network. I know everybody and their uncle in the area, but in order to grow beyond the area, you have to grow your network beyond the area. And
Sure.
you think of the farmer and planting analogy of just you've got to start investing in people and being present without really an expectation of it's going to come back. And it has come back. But I think if you measure your results on, well, I put in X number of hours, I should get this amount of work back, you're always going to be disappointed because it doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, too many people invest in a network with that kind of a thought process.
Yeah. And so, I'm constantly preaching. It's not what you can get, it's what you can give. And if you give, then somebody's on the other side giving to you. And then you
Mm-hmm.
get. It
Mm-hmm.
just is. So I appreciate you choosing us and being a part of our network. And you're such a valuable member, and I'm grateful for you. So, what is the best leadership lesson you've learned from failure or rejection?
I think the best leadership that I can think of is rejection is normal, a normal part of life, and to not let it get you down. And, by personality, I'm not somebody that likes to be rejected, and
Nobody does.
but some people deal with it better than others. And I think
Sure,
for me
sure.
personally, it makes me reevaluate. Like, was it a rejection of me as a person, or just understanding the situation going on? And I've been rejected by people, especially clients, where it's just the relationship soured, and I was sort of knew it was coming, but was kind of blindsided at the same time. And I think the thing that has taught me in the leadership sphere is being able to come alongside of clients when they've lost a big deal or something like that, to say, hey,
Hmm.
it's part of life. It happens. Let's pick it up and let's look at how to grow from this, how to look forward to it. Um, and with staff the same way. Like, you're not going to get it right every single time. I think it helps be gentler when a staff member screws it up, because to err is human. And I think, unfortunately, too many people don't agree with that sentiment personally, and they beat themselves up over it. So, to come alongside and encourage them and not be too hard on them, and say, you're harder on yourself than I will be. You
Yeah,
know what the
yeah.
expectation is.
So, yeah, I love that. And coming alongside and then helping people um, when they are facing rejection, helping your clients, because you hear firsthand, oh, business is not happening, or I lost a sale, I lost a client, and leading them through so that they can stay the course is a big piece of why they hire you as the CFO. So I certainly can see that. Who inspires your leadership style, and what qualities from them do you embody?
Yeah, I think honestly, the biggest leader that I know and look up to is my father,
I
and
knew
he
you
led
would.
the same way. He was the same way. He was never the front of the room, but everybody talks to him. There's a question, he leads, but he's not in front. He's always just supporting and making sure everybody's taken care of behind the scenes.
Yeah, and you do the same thing. I think since you've been with me though, you've been out front a whole lot more.
Kind of hard not
And
to be.
I know, but I can't. You can't stay around me and hide. And but I knew you were gonna say your father. You speak so highly of him, and I love that. Um, and so that's awesome. So, what bold moves or unconventional strategies help you stand out to grow your business? So, bold and drastic moves.
Well, one bold move comes natural to me, and that is, I'm a numbers person that likes people. Most people that are accountants, bookkeepers, number people, they're very binary, very black and white in how they see the
Yep,
world. And that makes it very hard to have conversations with them. From firsthand experience that we can talk for 20 or 30 minutes and never get to the point. Um,
correct.
but that's one, call it a bold strategy, call it a stroke of fortune by the gifting that I have. Um, and then I think another unconventional strategy, probably for me, is to be more in the network sphere, especially for bookkeepers. You don't find a lot of them out there. They're not really, back to that person, they don't like to put themselves out there, because they, of all people, fear rejection very highly. And to get into a network, they overanalyze and overthink. And they just, could more of them do it? Absolutely. But I don't see that. So choosing that strategy is a little bit different than most bookkeepers that I've come across.
Yeah. Yeah. And you are very personable and the numbers person, which makes you unique. That's actually a marketing point if you're not using that. So make sure that you implement that in your marketing strategy because it is unconventional for your type. So, what advice would you give someone who feels like they're playing small in their leadership?
I think the biggest thing I can tell somebody who feels like they're playing small, and first of all, I'd ask them why they feel like that.
Mm.
I find most people build up their walls and pigeonhole themselves into a box, as opposed to helping them dig in and understand, like, Why do you feel like that's the case? What generally it's something that they're not doing. So what is it that you're not doing that makes you feel like you're a small leader? They may be some of the most fantastic leaders I've read up on, they still feel like they're small leaders, even though they're doing great things because they're not overcoming that one obstacle that they see as their big impediment. So I would say, start with the conversation of what is it that you feel like is holding you back and go forward from there.
Okay. Okay. And how do you help others rise as you rise?
Again, it keeps going back to the relationship and saying, look,
Yeah.
I'm learning this right now. You've heard me say this over and over.
Yeah.
I'm studying this, I'm learning this, it's impacting what I'm doing. Let's think about it. One of the things that I love to do with people is, here's some food for thought. You know this as well as anybody. I never let a conversation go by without giving you something to think about. And you know, in that goes back to that education and growth element of, even as I'm growing, I'm allowing those ripples to domino out to those around me and say, hey, I'm learning this. You might not want to listen to it, but at least you've heard it, and it will, you might pass it on to somebody else. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And I know you're a great connector and you a great networker and you share resources and all of those things help others to rise and show up. And if they hadn't have interacted with you, they may not have learned those things. And so I appreciate you being such a giver in our community. Well, we're already at the last question.
There you go.
At your funeral, what do you want people to remember about you and the work you've done?
I think there would be no higher compliment for me than he took care of his family and his friends.
Yeah.
Like that is to me, that's who I do it for. So, and if you draw back through this conversation, if you're a client, you're a friend.
Yeah.
And so, that's who I am as a person.
Very true. And I know that firsthand, and I'm grateful for you. So thank you. I see all your contact information behind you, but tell us what's the best way for people to get in touch with you.
Sure, you can go to the website, the Square Books at Gmail, thesquarebooks.com. Got the email and website mixed up there. And then you can give me a call, 603-852-6814. Those are the two best ways to contact me, get a hold of me, or just rip it off the screen.
Ha 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 ha. Awesome, awesome. Well, Joseph, I appreciate you. I love the work we're doing together, and I love having you as part of our community. And I just want to help you to continue to lead loud so that you can make the impact that you want to make. This is Toni Harris Taylor saying, take a drastic step today for a fantastic tomorrow, and we'll see you next week with another fabulous author. Bye.